Order, members. Honourable delegates, before we proceed, I would like to remind delegates of the rules relating to what hybrid meetings and sittings, in particular, Rule 21, 22, 23, and Rule 103, which provide as follows. The hybrid sitting constitutes a sitting of the National Council of Provinces. Delegates in the hybrid sitting enjoy the same powers, privileges that applied in the sitting of the National Council of Provinces. For purposes of the quorum, all delegates who are logged on the virtual platform shall be considered present. Delegates must switch on their videos if they want to speak. Delegates should ensure that the microphone on their electronic devices are muted and must always remain muted unless they are permitted to speak. All delegates in the chamber must connect to the virtual platform as well as insert cards to register on the chamber system. Delegates who are physically in the chamber must use the floor microphones. All delegates may participate in discussion through the chat groups. In addition, I would like to remind delegates that the interpretation facility is active. Permanent delegates, special delegates, SALGA representatives, members of the executive on the visual platform are requested to ensure that the interpretation facility on their electronic devices are properly activated to facilitate access to the interpretation services.
Just to summarize.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes,
Honourable Mkiva, Honourable Mkiva, please. I'm just reminding members on the virtual platform to remain muted. Permanent delegates, special delegates, representatives, and members of the Executive Council in the chamber should use the interpretation instrument on their desk to access interpretation facilities. Honourable delegates have been informed that there will be no notices of motion or motions without notice. Honourable delegates, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome Minister and Deputy Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy, permanent delegates, MECs, all special delegates, and SALGA representatives to the House. I would like to acknowledge the Speaker and Chair of Chairs of the Northern Cape Provincial Legislature, as well as Deputy Chair of Chairs of Limpopo Provincial Legislature in the virtual platform. Honourable delegates will now proceed to the first order paper, policy debate on budget vote 34, Mineral Resources and Energy Appropriation Bill. I will now call upon Honourable Mantashe, who's the Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy, to open the debate. Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson, Deputy Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy, Dr. Ngabane, Honourable members of the National Council of Provinces, Director General of the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, Jacob Mpele, and Team TMR in full. Ladies and gentlemen, South Africa continued to confront social compact and economic infrastructure constraints that adversely advance on economic development. Since the global COVID-19 pandemic worsened by factors linked to the Russia-Ukraine war that has affected all countries, thereby adding pressure on our mining and energy industries. Add to this the global imperative to transition towards low carbon emission economies, including its related challenges for developing countries like ours. Therefore, more than ever before, global solidarity for development and peace are a necessity. Much of the budget that we are presenting here for consideration by the honourable members in this August House is aimed at powering the effort made to address these challenges. The Department of Mineral Resources and Energy has been allocated a small budget of 10.7 billion rand, of which a substantial portion goes to its implementing agencies. This is to ensure that we meet our developmental agenda and meet some of the commitments in the National Development Plan. To achieve universal access to electricity, that's our aim, despite advice that we should not connect more people because there is load shedding. We don't accept that. We must connect as many South Africans as we can. Universal access to electricity is in itself a challenge. 6 billion is earmarked for Integrated National Electricity Program, the INEP. Therein, 3.8 billion will go to INEP ESCOM grant to connect 97,618 households to the national grid. 2.2 billion is allocated to INEP municipalities grant to connect 66,406 households to the national grid. And to fulfill our commitment to address energy poverty and ensure energy security, we undertook to procure 1,995 megawatts of electricity under risk mitigation independent power producer procurement program. 150 megawatts are currently under construction in the Northern Cape. 2,583 megawatts were procured under bid window 5 of the renewable energy IPP procurement program. 19 projects agreements constituting of 1,700 megawatts and 1,759 megawatts. 6 preferred bidders signed power purchase agreement for the bid window amounting to 1,000 megawatt were allowed. We have initiated the process to procure 513 megawatts of battery storage. It will be followed by the procurement of 1,230 megawatts of battery storage. The request for proposal will be issued in the second and fourth quarter 2023. We'll also issue the second and the fourth quarter of 2023 the following: procure 500 megawatt, 5,000 megawatts in bid window 7 and bid window 8, that is in quarter 2 and quarter 4 of the year. We'll procure 3,000 megawatts on gas to power. We'll procure 2,500 megawatts in nuclear power energy. And by lifting the threshold of embedded generation, the DMRE enabled National Electricity Regulator of South Africa to register 446 embedded generators with a total capacity of 4,050 megawatts. And of these generators, Seriti Green has begun construction of 155 megawatts wind energy facility, an energy facility to power their mines in Mpumalanga, estimated to cost 4 billion rand. Exaro is constructing a 70 megawatts photovoltaic plant in Lephalale, Limpopo to supply electricity to Grootegeluk. Goldfields has invested 715 million rand to construct a 50 megawatts photovoltaic plant at their South Tip operation. This will help increase their production by 10% in contrast to the 9% year-on-year construction in the November. So where they have implemented this, like in Goldfields, there was growth, although overall production in mining declined 9.9 year-on-year. So this is a good initiative for the various mining houses. Keeping abreast with the ever-changing energy environment, the DMRE has reviewed Integrated Resource Plan. A new draft policy will be presented to Cabinet in the second quarter of the financial year. Remember, we're in the second quarter now. When we say second quarter, we basically say now. Two critical challenges face the ability of the state to fully meet its objective on energy supply and security. First, the lack of the grid capacity to connect new generated power. For instance, in bid window 5, we approved 4,200 megawatts, but we could only really authorize 1,000 megawatt. 3,200 megawatts could not be authorized because of grid shortage. So a grid capacity is starting to become a real problem that we must pay attention to. Particularly in the Northern Cape, Western Cape, and the Eastern Cape, where there is a lot of sun, wind on the coast, grid is weak there because historically, energy has been generated in Mpumalanga, and therefore grid is strong in that part of the world. Mpumalanga, Gauteng, and Limpopo, the grid is strong. But nobody expected to ever have the Northern Cape as the prime source of energy. Now, grid is weak, we'll have to develop the grid. We therefore welcome the initiative of the National Treasury to take over the port of ESCOM debt, thereby enable the entity to invest in transmission and distribution infrastructure. Furthermore, the department is finalizing this electrification master plan aimed at resolving natural capacity challenges. Second, the constant contestation between development needs and environmental challenges resulted in foreign funded lobbies lock the department in prior litigation that halts progress. And I must say this, Honorable Nana, you see, when foreign funded NGOs stop exploration of gas in the Eastern Cape, it's not a good sign. It is environment vetoing development, and we must resist that with everything we have. In line with the President Ramaphosa pronouncement of reconfiguration of state-owned entities, the department will continue with the nationalization SOE reporting to it. The business case and proposal of incorporation of some of the Central Energy-fied group companies into a single South African National Petroleum Company were finalized and approved by Cabinet. That is Petro SA, SFF, and IGAS. They are merged into one. They will form the South African National Energy Company. Implementation underway. The group is finalizing the process of appointing strategic partner to work with Petro SA to revive the gas liquid refinery in Mossel Bay. I can also report that Petro SA is beginning to show profits on the trading side. But our preoccupation now is to ensure that the plants are operational. That is where our focus is at this point in time. Liquefied petroleum gas continues to grow throughout the country as a source of space heating and cooking. Liquid LPG, honorable members, is bottled gas. And it is becoming very important in terms of use, particularly when there's pressure on electricity. And therefore, we need to take more interest in it so that it can grow, and the consumption of LPG must grow to alleviate pressure on electricity. Developing social compact between the department and society is critical in the energy sector. We will strengthen engagement with community in relation to developing upstream petroleum industry. The consultations we held with 7 kingdoms and fishing communities in the Eastern Cape, Northern Cape, and Western Cape have helped us appreciate the real prevailing sentiments about the development of this industry. So the issue is, we have gone to every kingdom in the Eastern Cape. We've come to the fishing communities in the Western Cape. We've gone to the fishing communities in the Northern Cape. So consultation has been taking place in the sector. We'll promote this industry in line with the mandate of National Constitution. For instance, Section 24 of the Constitution, which promotes the use of natural resources and promotes justifiable economic and social development, investment in and exploitation of natural endowment, that is mineral and petroleum, enable national economic development. I must say that oil and gas are going to be the catalyst for economic growth and development in this country. And therefore, the resistance that we see from environmentalists is something that we must actually take on our chin, because it is going to block development of the economy. The mining industry, despite challenges and binding constraints, continue to contribute meaningfully to the gross domestic product. In 2022, value of production registered was 1.18 trillion and contributed 89 billion rand in corporate tax in 2021, and a further contribution of the royalties is 28.45 billion in the same period, keeping its percentage contribution to the GDP at 7.538%. So, despite all the problems, your load shedding, inefficient logistic arrangement with bit rail and port, but mining is doing exceptionally well. Honourable Member, South Africa remains a preeminent mining nation with a composite value of well over 9 trillion, according to the recently revised resource endowment. The full spectrum of mineral range, from aluminum to zinc, and therefore, in this context, both the drive for mineral exploration and clear approach to use of critical minerals for development are critical. A critical mineral strategy is being developed. MINTEC is leading research and development, including innovation, and it has identified various high-impact programs. These projects are aimed at driving the development of new industries and technologies through the partnership and licensing of South Africa. House Chairperson, mining companies have made investment pledges in the investment conference, and we're following through those investments. You'll remember that they made investment commitments that amounted to 397 billion rand. Key to the realization of this investment is the social license of companies to mine and utilize labor. Mining communities and labor-sending areas derive value from extraction of their minerals. Hence, we are particularly pleased with the investment made by mining companies on developing impactful projects in society as part of their social license to coexist with these communities. When we talk of social labor plan, that is a social license for a company to coexist in those communities. Whether it is a school in Kuruman, Honourable Moima, whether it is a school in Tukwa, whether it is a clinic in Witbank, or a clinic in the Far East Mpumalanga, all those projects are of interest because that is the license companies pay to those communities. Now, the department continues to work with industry players, municipalities, and communities to realize the integrated approach to these developments. House Chairperson, we are improving our health and safety record. In 2022, the mining industry recorded the lowest number of fatalities, that is 49 fatalities in the industry. If you take those fatalities from 653 in 1993 to 49 in 2022, that is real progress. Many try to tell us that it is because number of people working in the mines is declining. And we're submitting that it is not. Actually, the mining industry employed 23,000 more people in the past financial year. And therefore, it is not declining, the numbers are growing, and the fatalities are coming down. Central to the decline in fatalities is the ability to allow employers, workers, and communities and the state to work together in the area of health and safety. Zero fatalities remain the objective of everybody. So we don't fight over that. There's no conflict, there's no contradiction on that one. The reality of the matter is that we wish to reduce fatalities to zero. In collective effort of social partners in the industry have proven stakeholder collaboration is critical for the industry to achieve zero harm. We must therefore redouble our effort and ensure that every mine worker returns home alive. And Honourable Chairperson, having tabled this budget, that is budget 34 of 2023, I must thank the Deputy Minister Dr. Honourable Mr Team DMRE for the continued support in the work we do as a department. I must also extend our gratitude to members of the House for their continued guidance and support, particularly when you call and someone is here. We may feel uncomfortable, but it is a necessary intervention for you to call us, ask us difficult questions, we answer those questions. That is part of improving governance. I want to extend my appreciation to my wife, Nolwane, and my family. Yes. Yes. And the family and the staff in the private office of the ministry. Thank you for the continued support. We appreciate your support all the time. Thank you very much. That is the budget I'm tabling for consideration and adoption to the House. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable
We're not in
Minister.
a birthday party here.
Malibongwe, Minister.
Alibongwe,
Thank you, Honourable
Dlamini.
Minister.
kafolla moe.
Thank you. Order, honourable members, I'll now invite Honourable Mama. I love you, Mama. Honourable Bibi.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Greetings to the Minister and his deputy, and also to the colleagues that are here. Ngibonge ngesihlalo ukuthi nje ungineze ithuba lokuthi ngithi qaphu ngale nkulumo mpikiswana namhlanje. Engifuna nje ukuthi ngicacise nje kahle ngoba ngomana ngiya kulo 300 years bakwethu. Ongakaze uzusicabangele thina abantu abamnyama ukuthi konje kulomkhakha sikhona kwenzekani. Ngalo uhulumeni kaKhongolose sikwazile ukuthi sibe ne-National Development Plan and the Integrated Resource Plan. 300 years they didn't have that one. And also the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan. Ngendlela oplana ngayo uKhongolose uplanela wonke umuntu la kulo mhlaba. Kodwa kulo 300 years asikaze sibe nako lokho engikushoyo manje. Chairperson, the National Development Plan posits that by 2030, the country will have an energy sector that promotes economic growth and development through adequate investment in energy infrastructure so that the energy sector can provide reliable and efficient energy service at competitive rates while supporting economic growth through job creation. Central to the NDP's lofty goal in ESCOM as a state-owned enterprise, responsible for almost 90% of electricity generation in the country. In other words, the NDP's goal is placed in the hands of ESCOM to promote economic growth and development in which the uninterrupted supply of electricity plays a key role. While ESCOM has played a critical role in supporting mining and heavy industries in Gauteng, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, Northwest, and the North Cape, with abundant and cheap electricity as a key element of South Africa's industry strategy, aimed at driving economic growth and development, its operational performance, and the largest single generator and distributor of electricity has seriously deteriorated, leading to 1, costly period of load shedding with severe consequences of the economy. 2, significant deterioration of plant availability. 3, and record levels of unplanned outages, leading to the cumulative decline in the capacity of power stations, including the new build Kusile and Midupi, to the lowest levels. The opposition, Chairperson, opposition parties invariably argue that the ANC-led governments neglect of responsibility. especially the lack of public investment in the ESCOM to enable the utility to expand coverage, build new generation capacity, and conduct reliability maintenance to restore power stations to accept levels in the primary root cause of ESCOM-directed operational performance, which runs counter to the NDP goal. There is, of course, evidence to support this argument. By this argument, rears its head every now and then, and now that we are heading for national and provincial elections in 2024. So it is descending into appeal to voters, and often it's blown out of proportion. Bamangathi ngekhanda, kodwa bona njalo bangakaze bakwenze lokho sekuqalile. Chairperson, the point I'm trying to drive home here is that in putting forward this argument, opposition parties intentionally ignore or at best dismiss the NDMRE's efforts at responding to South Africa's inadequate energy supply through the accelerations of energy efficiency rollout. Chairperson, through the Integrated Resource Plan 2019, the DMRE has identified different sources of energy to address electricity infrastructure development and subsequently achieve the security of supply of energy in sustainable manner that takes into account environmental considerations. Chairperson, amongst the source of energy, the DMRE has identified coal as the largest share in the energy mix to flexibly respond to the inadequate supply of electricity association electricity demand in the economy in a manner that complies with climate and environmental requirements. To put this in provocative terms, South Africa is abundantly endowed the coal and therefore phasing out coal in the short to medium run in the energy mix sounds like an immature strategy, ideally developed to collapse the economy within. Considering this, the DMRE has established the African Exploration, Mining and Finance Corporation coal production in Blacksfontein, as well as supported the opening of expansion Sasol and Siriti coal mines in Mpumalanga to secure the supply of the coal to ESCOM for the generation electricity at affordability reliable price, given that high coal prices have contributed to ESCOM's rising costs and interruptions of the national grid. While the domestic and global financial institutions have divested in the coal industry in favor of renewable energy, the DMRE is currently incentivizing investments in efficient clean coal technology, such as high efficiency, low emission, and carbon capture, utilization storage. Moreover, the DMRE is forging strategic partnership with international organizations and countries that have made tremendous efforts at developing these technologies. Ngaba in 300 years' time, have you ever thought of doing what this African National Congress is doing, developing these technologies? Chairperson, significantly, clean coal technologies enable the coal industry to operate sustainably without contributing a greenhouse gas emission. Thus, the promotion of these clean coal technologies has no benefits with other government goals, such as creating and retaining job opportunities in the coal mining sector. Consider, for example, clean coal technology are increasingly likely to protect jobs and economic activities around coal mining for vulnerable communities in Mpumalanga, such as Emalahleni, West Bank, Steve Chwete, Middle Bank, Gavin Mbeki Sekunda, and Musikaligwa Emelo, those whose totally gross value added and quarter of their employment opportunities are derived directly from the coal mining. Honorable Chairperson and members, similarly, another source of energy that has been identified by the DMRE in the IRP 2019 is gas. There's enormous potential and opportunity for domestic gas exploration, particularly in context of both poor supply of electricity generated from coal and dwelling gas resources in the Pande and Temane fields in Mozambique, which is a ROMCO partnership between South Africa Gas Development Company and Government Mozambique. Thus, the DMRE has amended the existing policy and the regulatory framework in the gas industry to encourage investment in the industry of the offset the expected decline in gas from Mozambique and promote gas as an alternative coal as a source of energy. In this respect, the Upstream Petroleum Resources Development Bill and the Gas Amendment Bill are part of the strategy to revive investor appetite in the gas industry in a country that is desperate of energy security and economic growth. In practice, Chairperson, these bills have facilitated the development and Black Panda gas discovery of the Otiniqua Basin of South Africa, as well as the discovery of gas well in the Renegan Tensha for Virginia in the Free State, and the Anglo Coal Bed Methane Project in Lipalale, Limpopo. Chairperson, honorable members, more importantly, the discovery of gas well in the Free State, Limpopo, and the Otiniqua Basin in South Africa provides the flexibility required to support the running of open cycle gas turbines and Enkelech and Orikwa Power Station in the Western Cape and at Avon and Tedisa Power plants in KwaZulu-Natal and the Eastern Cape, respectively, which are responsible for supplying electricity during the peak demand times. Chairperson, the DMRE must pride itself on its degree of promoting domestic gas exploration, consideration as a silver bullet to Eskom unreliable supply of electricity, which leaves devastating, harmful effects of business and household. Thus, the discovery of gas wells does not only give an impetus of the realization of energy security in the country, but also marks a new innovation thinking of approaches that build resilience into the DMRE's effective energy insecurity responses. The bottom line is that the critical role gas in the energy mix complements the economic recovery structure plan in two respects. One, firstly, gas contributes to the diversification and strengthening of the energy pool and capacity through innovation and efficiency, and thus enable the conditions that necessitates industrialization through the localization as a key priority in the ERRP. Secondly, gas is a critical part of South Africa energy future, as it has enabled the DMRE to explore possibility of converting old coal-fired power stations for gas conversion outlined in the ERRP. In addition to this, Chairperson, the gas enhances the role of the ANC-led government in the provisioning of the public goods and services. For example, by making sure that there's an adequate supply of electricity in welfare-enhancing areas such as health, education, police, and the public infrastructures, particularly in underdeveloped former Bantustan homelands located in the Eastern Cape, Northwest, Limpopo, and Mpumalanga, as stipulated in the NDP. Chairperson and honorable members, renewable energies are unevenly distributed in the country, and thus each province has potential in one way or another. As the Eastern Cape, Northern Cape, and Western Cape have tremendous untapped renewable energies, the need to transition from using fossil fuels to renewable energies in great. One exciting prospect, Chairperson, is that fixing ESCOM for base load supply while increasing new generation capacity through renewable and green energies from IPPs in the Eastern Cape, Northern Cape, and Western Cape will ensure that supply meets the country's high electricity demand. However, the supply of renewable energies from these provinces to ESCOM grid hinges on the ability of ESCOM to invest in the expansion of the transmission network to enable the seamless wheeling and renewable energies. In instance, where such energies are located far away from the transmission network.
As you conclude, Mama.
As I conclude, Baba, while the expansion of the transmission network may take time come for the fruition, the DMR is currently exploring alternatives of augmenting energy generation with nuclear energy being realistic and reliable alternative and the further of the generation electricity. As from Quebec Nuclear Power Station long-term program, Baba, the DMR will address the national energy of the South Africa's necessary concurrence on the Section 34 ministerial determination of procurement of 2,520 envelope from energy before the end of the current.
Thank you, Mama.
In closing conclusion, Chairperson, the Select Committee supports the voters for 34.
Thank you.
Maribongwe, mamas.
Honorable members, you will understand that Mama is the only one that is not privileged in terms of the watch. The watch is not there. All of us that are coming to the podium, you have a watch. So that is why when I'm dealing with time, I will. Yeah. Thank you, Mama. Honorable Nana. Your watch.
You are so right, Rikas. Thank you very much, House Chairperson. Honorable members, good afternoon. Maybe as a starting point, Mamu Bibi, you know, you are so predictable in your speech, and you always say that part in isiZulu. Obviously, you're not brave enough to say it in English so that everybody can hear you. Honorable members, I would like to express my sincere condolences to the family, friends, and economic freedom fighters colleagues at the untimely passing of Honourable Apleni, who was from a sleepy town of Simo in the Eastern Cape. Your pain, fighters, is our pain. May his soul rest in eternal peace. In 2007, South Africa got the first taste of what we thought was a temporary inconvenience. Little did we know, 16 years later, it will be a constant feature in our daily lives, and there seems to be no reprieve. The biggest crisis our nation has ever faced since the dawn of democracy has last year alone reached disastrous levels. In 2022, honorable members, we experienced 157 days of rolling blackouts, which cost South Africa 560 billion in lost productivity. Not even halfway through 2023, with the Minister of Electricity in place, which Minister Mantashe famously referred to as a project manager, the country is now straddling between stage 6 and 8 with no reprieve in sight. Sometime in 2022, my then 17-year-old daughter Lunga came back from school bragging that she and her friends have come up with a new definition for the word fail. I thought, wow, isn't this brilliant? My own family name might find its way to the Guinness Books of Records. She said, Daddy, the new definition for fail is ANC. I dare submit to this house, when the Oxford Dictionary is revised, this new befitting definition should be included. Little did she knew at the time that the failed ANC was planning to tie her to a 20-year contract in which her generation will have to pay an estimated billion rands, an estimated 200 billion rands debt to the Turkish car power ship. DA Shadow Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy makes the case that the 200 billion spent on this endeavor would be enough to build 2 new power stations similar to Medupi and Kusile based on the initial budgets of 79 billion and 81 billion respectively. And this is supported by experts. In order for the government to circumvent the normal procurement process so as to avoid competitive bidding, we are made to believe that this is an emergency measure and therefore the details of the deal is shrouded in secrecy. Don't get me wrong, honorable members. I'm in full support of a quick fix solution to the electricity crisis, whilst looking for a long-term and sustainable solution. Surely, honorable members, a 20-year contract can never be a short-term solution. In 2024, which is next year, the Democratic Alliance will be in government. We will fix the electricity crisis long before the 20-year period expires. And the question is, what will happen to the remainder of the contract period when we no longer require car power ships? Unless the envisaged 20-year contract is a subtle message to South Africans that under the ANC, load shedding will be with us for the next 20 years. This is yet another blatant attempt by comrades to eat at the expense of the taxpayer and the future of our children. Who will ever forget the governing party's investment Chancellor House role in the construction of Medupi and Kusile? One wonders, who is lined up to benefit from this contract this time around? A week ago in this house, the Minister of Mineral Resources was his old self. He dismissed contributions made by the opposition as wild and baseless. Again, 2 days ago in the National Assembly, and this is a conversation I had with the minister as I was walking in this afternoon. 2 days ago in the National Assembly, he again dismissed criticism against him as a desperate act, and it was not offering any ideas. Clearly, he does not take dissenting opinions very well. More often than not, the DA is falsely accused of opposing for the sake of doing so and not provide proposals or alternative opinions. Of course, this is devoid of the truth and must be dispelled as such. We have on numerous occasions provided solutions to the difficulties facing our country, including the current electricity crisis, only to be dismissed by the executive that is not prepared to listen. Minister, environmental organizations are not in existence to block or stifle development. I have no doubt in my mind, if your projects tick all the environmental boxes, no one will take you to court. Simply get your ducks in a row. To accuse NGOs in our country of being foreign funded and therefore they are anti-development is actually devoid of truth. If you get your ducks in a row, there will be no reason for anyone to take you to court. And I urge you, embrace environmental organizations because they are here to guard against our environment for future generations to come. I thank you.
Thank you. I'll now invite Honourable Makwala.
Sawubona sihlalo sibulise members sibulise kumandwendwe sibulise naba bakivirtual Chairperson, the economic freedom fighters reject the budget for the Department of Mineral and Resources and Energy. We reject the budget of a department which seemingly on autopilot, with a minister who has failed to uphold and fulfill its objective to rebuild an effective and efficient department to ensure energy security in the country. This department has time and time again demonstrated its incapacity to carry out its primary functions, to meet targets, to get basic rights over service delivery, and their ability to bring stability in both the mining industry and the energy sector. Miners risk their lives working underground to sustain our economy, yet despite their commitment services, they are at least protected by the government in form of health, in incentives and good labor practices. To see this, we need not look far. The budget presented us today clearly demonstrates a lack of empathy and care for occupational health. The mines of South Africa continue to serve as a hazard risk to the workers and surrounding communities. The Jagerfontein Dam disaster serves as a recent reminder of a potential negative impact of unprotected mines in our communities. Bearing this, and surprisingly, the mine health and safety management program has faced a 16.5% real decrease. This is despite that 2,056 injuries were reported last year. It remains a cause of concern and threat to human lives and livelihoods. The economic freedom fighters, therefore, cannot approve a budget which does not allocate the workers' safety, health, and communities as central to any mining and mineral resources progress. We also reject the budget of a department which also allows for illegal mining to reach crisis points, poisoning a serious threat to national security. Illegal mining which associate with delete and ownerless mines now is having an impact on operational and licensed mines. The South African economy and mine sector suffers billions of illegal mining, while the ANC government are failing artisanal and small-scale miners. The energy sector is inestimable, and the minister, Samson Mandashe Kwati, is more concerned about a street cat fight over power of Eskom and energy with the Minister of Khoyetso and Rumapola, the Minister of Electricity. As the economic freedom fighters, we have on countless occasions warned that dealing with energy crisis is only the tip of the problem, not at the root cause. If it is only plastering an infected wound without cleaning and treating it properly, it is bound to serve and cause a lot more harm, Minister. We therefore reiterate our call for an establishment of a state mining company so as to ensure that our minerals are mined and processed locally, as this would create local jobs for our local resources and help properly the country into higher level of development. I see the minister has endorsed this initiative from the EFF, at least something you have listened to. The EFF in the next 4 years that we have Landok been in government. Energy remains central to the development and growth of the country. For without energy, and economy cannot create jobs, services, and people cannot move, meaning that the stability supply of electricity is needed. For industrialization cannot be guaranteed. We must establish mining companies where our people will benefit from mining resources. Lastly, carefully, as the EFF celebrates its 10-year anniversary of the People Movement, we invite mine workers, mining communities, and all our people to come and celebrate with us at the FNB Stadium on the 29th of July 2023, as we mark this glorious occasion. We also invite all business and members of society to attend the EFF 10th anniversary gala dinner and to buy a table in order to hear the plans of the EFF and share its plans of how we can collectively move together to take South Africa forward, not to wait for 2030. We further call on all South Africans to donate to the only organization that is not funded by the Ruperts and Oppenheimers and Rob Hossoff of our colonizers. It's the only organization that will take this country forward. Minister, we reiterate our call in terms of saving this country's energy. Stop the cat fight, economic freedom fighters in our lifetime. I thank you.
Thank you.
2020.
The other members, the Honourable MEC of Finance, Economic Development and Environmental Affairs, Honourable Mvoko, is struggling with network, so I will now invite Honourable Mengwenya, House Chairperson, to be our next speaker. Honourable House Chair Ngwenya.
Malibongwe.
You get the video that was circulating. Members.
Thanks, Chair. Honorable members, this budget vote debate take place on an important day in the history of the political calendar of our country. The 18th of May reminds us of the day which the former Deputy President and the Secretary General of the African National Congress, Utata Walter Sisulu, was born. Utata Walter Sisulu was born on the 18th May 1912, the same year as the ANC was founded, and had he been alive, he will have 111 years old today. This day should indeed be remembered in respect of the legacy of the great son of our land for sacrificing his life for the liberation of country. And in doing so, I want to anchor the word of Nelson Mandela when he said, I quote, "Many of us have gained positions, received praise, and have been appreciated, but none of us match the leadership and humbleness of a great man such as Walter Sisulu," close quote. Chairperson, the endurance of the triple challenge of the poverty, inequality, and unemployment in mining communities in Limpopo, Mpumalanga, Northwest, and Northern Cape imply that a process of structural transformation and mineral extraction of being unsatisfied for many years. Sihlalo, ukuze kucace kakhudlwana kunomkhuba okhulunywa emkhakheni